It's not how heavy the load is, it's how you carry it. This Women's Month, we celebrate winners, fighters, conquerors, women who continue to fight a good fight and break down all the barriers. We celebrate you as Imbogoto sitting at home. This is your month. We appreciate you and we love you. Once again on Healing with Sophie and Gugu, we have an amazing guest, a young woman who's also a fighter, a courageous woman. Her name is Naomi Mulema. Welcome, Naomi. Sophie.
Oh yeah, I think women like Naomi just remind me, Uguti, this platform where we share on Healing with Sophie and Gugu. For me, it's become like my other home because this is where I personally heal as well. Just listening to stories, and other guests that we've had on the show are so amazing because we are able to remember. And obviously, it's Women's Month, and this is where we commemorate women like her, women of courage, women of substance, women who are demonstrating Guti. Your story is not your future. Your future always stands on its own, and that's through healing. So welcome, amazing woman. Welcome, conqueror. Welcome, Musadi Tarantipa Gabuhalin. You're an amazing young woman, but they used to call us Basadi because we've reached a certain age. And it's just the fact that you've conquered so much, as amazingly young as you are. You're a mother, you're a wife. Share with us a little bit about your story. Where it started is always a very good place to start. Mm-hmm. And where you are, with your healing process and where you're going. Because I think that's very key because you're already going somewhere. Look at how amazing you look.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. My name is Naomi Mulema. I am 35 years old. I was born and bred in the Northwest in Mafikeng. I would like to say, I normally say, Mercy rewrote my life. There was a time where I felt like, why am I even alive? Why did God keep me? Mm-hmm. So as a young child, I didn't have a childhood. I was one of those children that never had direction. You didn't have a mother to guide you. So I was a loner my whole life up until I think after high school. So when I was young, I lived in the Northwest with my grandmother, and we had a pastor. Well, he said he's a pastor. I will say pastor, but because his action were not saying I'm a pastor. Mm. I was 8 years old. I remember this one time he came to me and he said to me, "Can you keep a secret?" I was not, aware that what he means is I'm about to steal something from you. I'm about to inflict pain in you that maybe you might never recover from. Mm. And I said, yeah. I mean, he's an older person. I trusted him. Yeah, of course I can. And he said to me, you need to promise me that you're not going to tell anybody. You're not going to tell your grandmother, because if you do, I'm going to hurt her. Now I'm thinking, my grandma is the only person that I have. I'm thinking I need to protect her.
And you're 8 years old.
I'm 8. And I remember he took me into this room and I was standing, I had a dress on. I still remember it was a pink skirt that had pleats. And he started kissing me and putting his tongue all over me. And he pulled my panty down and he said I must lay on the floor. So on the floor we had a goat skin. I don't know what they call it, but there was a goat skin on the floor and he made me lie on it. And he forcefully forced himself on me. That was the first incident. I didn't know what was happening at that time. The only thing I knew is that I felt so much pain that I had never felt since I was born. And because I was bleeding after, he said to me, we need to hide, we need to dig a hole so that we can put this panty so that my grandmother does not see the bloody panty. And what I did not realize was every time that we buried a panty, I was losing a piece of me. Because every time I would bleed, we would do the same thing. It carried on for the longest time. I remember this one time because it became normal to me that this is
our
what
secret.
we do. It's our secret. And my grandmother was there. Remember, we were around the fire and I said to him, hey, are we not doing our secret today, And he reprimanded me like, no, like, you're going to get me into trouble. I grew up hating Turkey's sneakers because he was the first man to buy me sneakers. I remember he came home and my grandmother was so happy. Oh, this pastor loves you. He's like a father to you. What she did not know was I was paying for the sneakers with my body. Time went on. I was 9 and then I was 10. So it happened for a period of 3 years. When I was going to do standard 3, I remember my mother came to fetch me to come live now with them here in Gauteng.
You didn't tell friends at that time?
No, I didn't tell anybody. I kept it a secret as I had agreed to, And I think also because I was, I felt like nobody loved me. Only him loved me because he told me that he loves me, And that was the only love.
And he was taking care of you with things.
Exactly, and I felt protected, like even though he was causing me pain, but I could feel like there's a, when you don't have a father figure in your life, we had that bond, like, okay, this is the man and I need to do this, and then I would get certain things. And I don't know between my parents then and my grandmother what happened to my school uniform, my school clothes, my school shoes, because I went to school barefoot. In winter, I would go to school with no shoes. Now, at school, I was also a joke. Oh, that one. They would call me names, Whenever there was issues in school where no one paid their fees or they did not pay for their trips, Naomi is always on the list. Whenever there's bad things, it's Naomi. To a point where I stopped going to school. I would wake up in the morning, take my school bag.
How old were you then?
It was still within the same period when this man was raping.
So 8-ish.
8-ish, 9-ish. And then I would hide in the bush the whole day. And I would wait for the other kids to come from school. And I would take the same walk back with them home. I did that for the period of time, and then my cousin came to visit, and when she came,
she was older?
She was older than me, yes.
Okay.
For some reason, I managed to get her into the same, like, let's not go to school, let's go hide there, And I remember this one time, this lady saw us going into the bush. And she said to us, why are you guys not going to school? Why are you hiding in the bush? And then she said to me, but I know you, Naomi, you're a good girl. It's probably this one. Out of defense, I said, yeah, I want to go to school. And then she got up. She said, yeah, you're telling people it's my fault. I'm taking you to school. So she forced me to take me to, she went to school, She went to class. I went to class with her. And then the teacher was like, and then why are you here?
Been?
I didn't go to my class. After I left that classroom, I went back to the bush. I didn't know that one of the teachers, so that lady told one of the teachers, and then they went home to tell my grandmother, your child, apparently she's not coming to school and this is what she's doing. And around the same era, my grandmother was diabetes, unfortunately, and she was most of the time not at home. There were times where I would go hungry and there would be no food. I found myself eating lizards. We would kill lizards, and because I was hungry, I was sitting with boys. I would find myself in the jungle, we play. It was normal to me until this one time I remember we said we were going to swim. And here we are, I think we were this short. We dived into the water and then we saw a wood that was on the sailing on the water.
A what?
It looked like a hood at that time, but we didn't realize that it was actually a crocodile. So
in the river, in the
river, yes. No, it was in the river, in the bundus, in the rural areas. Fortunately, there was an elderly that was, I think he was looking after the sheep or whatever that he was doing. He saw that. Had it not been for that man, we don't know what would have happened. He came into the water, dived in, took us out, gave us some hiding. But what I'm saying is, had it not been for him, we don't know what could have happened. And then eventually I came to sit this side, to live this side with my parents. The same year that I moved to this side, I remember, I don't know, but for some reason I changed the marks on my reports. I got used to lying, I started stealing at shops when I was hungry. I would go to a shop, I would check who's looking. If I can see that no one sees, then I would steal something.
So was it also still, how can I put it, with your parents? Was it also quite difficult food-wise? just like it was with your grandmother, it was a bit better? Obviously frustration and everything can lead you to stealing, but what was the main purpose of stealing food, etc., etc.? Was it because at home it was the same as Gugu?
So I was stealing when I was with Gugu. When I moved to my parents, it was habit. And then my dad had a shebeen.
How old were you when you moved to your parents, just to find out?
11. Then my dad had a shebeen, and my mom would work night shift most of the time. And
in the shebeen?
No, she would go to work.
Oh.
The shebeen was at home.
Okay.
My dad had a shebeen, and then my mom was a nurse.
Oh, she had another job.
So she would go to work, and then I would be with my father at home. But my father also used to drink a lot. So he didn't like drinking his own stock, so he would go somewhere. Then I would be left at home to serve this man at home. I remember this one incident. I was standing by the butler door, and this man said to me, I want us to, to have our little, secret. And I'm thinking, man, I'm good with secrets, and I've done this for 3 years. And I'm getting the attention that I'm not getting from home. My dad was very abusive.
Mentally?
Physically, emotionally, mentally. He would call us names. He would call us pigs. It's his house. Be useless. We'd never be that, And it was too chaotic in the house to even try and reach out to somebody. And my dad never loved my sister because she was not his. So there was that.
So how many siblings?
I had 2, but now I have 1.
Okay.
My other sister is late. And if I'm not home, my dad would beat up my sister because he would say, my child is not home, but she's here, And it created that kind of distance between me and my sister, because she would say, yeah, you're the golden child, everything is about you in the house. Now, when this man approached, I remember I was with my friend, we were watching TV. Now, I'm standing with him by the butler, and he said to me, I must take my panty down. It wasn't so difficult to do that. I'm used to it. So I pulled my panty down, and he put his private part via the butler door. And he held me closer to the butler.
And where was your friend?
My friend is still watching TV. And then I remember she said to me, why are you so quiet? What are you doing there? And I think we panicked, but he was already in motion because I could already feel his thing inside of me. And because she disturbed, she said, no, it's fine. I'll come back tomorrow. And then he gave me 20 bucks. I still remember that I went with my friend and we bought toys with that money. And men would come into my father's house day in, day after. They would, put or shove their fingers inside my private part. I remember this one man said to me, I should not be afraid because he had done the same thing to my sister, to teach her how to please a man. And I've never had that conversation with my sister to ask, okay, this man says, is it true? And that was me as a young girl. And I always say we sometimes have present but yet absent parents, because I was going through all of this, and my mother and my father could not. And this was my home, And I got sick when I was in grade 11. No doctor could diagnose what was wrong with me. I went in and out of hospitals. I took myself to doctors. I went to clinics. My friend would sometimes come with me, and I would go home. When I say to my mother, Mama, I've got pains here and there, she would say to me, yeah, don't tell me, you want me to die of a heart attack. So I was not allowed to express how I feel. So I started building walls. Oh, okay. Then, this is who I'm supposed to be. And when I was, the same year I was sick, I had to drop out of school because I could barely walk. I dropped from I was size 28, 30 then, to size, I think 7 to 8 years. That's how much weight I lost. I had no discharge. I couldn't eat anymore. So nothing could go in. And at that time, we just lost our home. So we were living with my aunt. And maybe she was saying it jokingly, and she would walk in the room after work and she would say, "How are you still alive?" And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want to die. I still want to live, you know?
Who says you're still alive?
Your
Your
aunt.
mother?
My aunt.
My aunt that
My
you live
mother
with.
never, not even once, after work came into my room to come and check if I'm okay. And maybe it was her way of not wanting to get to, I don't know what was her excuse, but at that time I needed a mother and she was not there.
Yes, she was present, not
Yes.
present.
Exactly. You know, and from grade 1 until grade 12, I don't even remember, not even once had my mother said to me, "Let me see your school books. Let me see your report.
How school?
How is school? You know,
How are you?
how are you?" So I was just that girl coming in, you know, coming out. And my dad on the other side made my sister his punching bag. My mother could be sitting on the couch and my sister has been beaten up there. She would not say anything. She would not scream. She would not say stop. Nothing.
Was your mother also beaten up?
Yes, she was. But
So she was going through her own journey.
Yes. So I think she had a lot maybe she was dealing with and she couldn't.
That you didn't know about.
That we did. I only discover now as a grown woman, okay, perhaps the reasons why she could not do 1, 2, 3 for me was because of that.
She had shut down probably.
Yes. And then when I was in matric, and I always say to people, sometimes don't understand why people stay in abusive relationships, and you wonder why is she not leaving. I got addicted to pain. The only love that I knew had pain attached to it. And I remember when I was in grade 12, I said to me, if my husband loves me, he has to beat me up. He has to cause me some pain. If there is no pain in it, then it's
there's
not
no
love. You know? I had a boyfriend after matric. I loved that boy. Well, he was a boy at that time, only because he would beat me up for no reason. You know, and he was feeding something inside of me. But my friends would not understand, why do you keep on going to the same person? And if he's not beating me up, I would provoke him. I knew which buttons to press for him. You know when you saw a man with their mother, I'm telling you, you will get angry. So I knew which buttons to press, and he would beat me. You know, he would drag me on the street, and I loved that. You know, for
The action.
we dated for 3 years,
Yeah.
and I had no intentions of leaving. He left. Perhaps
You were
if he-
chasing after him.
you know, and he would beat me up. I would beg him the next day. He would beat me up some more. And I enjoyed that. And when he left, I had a problem because the pain that I was getting at home was not enough. Because it was more mentally, more emotional than physical. Then I started cutting because I needed now to feel something in my body.
Oh my gosh.
And I had issues with my father to a point that I wanted to kill him. And this one time he was sleeping and I'm thinking, if I put a knife on his neck and he wakes up, I'm dead. And if I poison his food
And it doesn't die.
and he doesn't die, he's gonna beat up my sister. Because he
And my
won't
mother.
know. She's not gonna think it's me. I was the golden child. You know, he would beat me up for stupid reasons, but more of my mother, especially my sister. And when I failed to kill him, I tried to take my own life. And I couldn't. You know, I drank pills. They just made my tummy run and I didn't die. And time went on. Then I met my now husband. When I met him, I had issues because he was the opposite of my ex. He didn't like, you know, when you're provoking
didn't
somebody
fight.
and he's not
Anna movement.
Anna movement. You know, I remember saying to my friend, no man, this guy needs to go to jail. He has to man up. He's not man enough. You know, for him to be a man, he needs to beat me up. You know, by the grace of God, I got saved, and in the process, I learned to love the right way. And how I met God was I was sick, like I mentioned, and no doctor could tell what was wrong with me. And one day I decided to go to church, you know, and only because some men said, okay, I hear you saying you've tried everything, but have you tried God? And for that day, it was a joke, like, whatever. But I went to church. And something made me to go back to church, and I kept going back to church, and the more I went, the more I gained my strength. Then I began now to know who I am and how to love. Now I'm happily married.
And you got healed?
I got healed from I think by God's grace, because the doctors failed.
But did you get any psychological help or support in terms of counseling within the church that you're going to? Because I'm trying to now see the transformation between you going to church. Was it a self-healing thing that happened
Through what?
with
Just
yourself?
listening to sermons.
Like how people will pray to heal themselves, or was there a person who was paying attention to you, like a pastor or somebody at church, that actually helped you get through the journey?
It was actually self-healing. I remember they were singing this song, Mpahamise Morena. Ha ke batla ho shwela mo. And that song did something to my spirit.
It was your meditation?
Yes, then I kept going back. I started praying. At home, my mom and my dad, they're more into traditional healers, and I'm more of a Christian person. I remember this one time they forced me into a bath where I think they were doing rituals, whatever. And for me, because I was not relating to that, I was so mad. If I did not kill my parents that night, I don't think I'll ever kill them. And yeah, now I'm married. Well, they paid lobola. I was 21, 22. And when I got married, it's actually very funny. And I say I thank God because I loved the men I married to. Because when I got married, it was not because of I was in love and I was ready to get married. It was because I just found God and I felt like I'm holier than thou. You cannot touch me unless you make me your wife. And that was the only reason why I got married, because I didn't want to feel dirty. I didn't want to go to church and feel guilty.
You're born again.
And got married. 3 years into the marriage, no child. And not my mother-in-law, my mother said to me, your husband is going to leave you because you can't give him children. And coming from your own mother, who you're expecting her to, to comfort you, it hit home. And the society is a norm when you get married. When are you and they adding fuel to what I was already feeling. And I'm thinking, let me go to the doctor. I think now I really want to have a child. After 7 operations, no doctor could get to my home. And they said to me, no, you must just give up. There's no way that you'll ever fall pregnant.
Did you know the cause of that? Was it the cause of all those instances when different men, all over you with or without your consent, the abuse? Is that what caused that to be affected, your ability to bear children?
Correct. Because the doctor said to me, something happened to you when you were young. Now, what normally happens if you get an infection and there's no medical interaction, the body tries to fight the disease or whatever. So now instead of layers and layers of fat and things, like it's just, when you're looking at it in the picture, you won't say it's inside this small body. It's crazy. Now, the gynae said, I'm going to show you a picture of how a normal woman looks in the inside, and I'm going to show you how you look inside. Before I even said that, because she showed me, so I'm like, what happened? That thing looks like it's
a mess.
It's a mess, when women get their periods, it's actually here. Mine, they are somewhere up here because everything moved around. That's why they couldn't get to the womb. And I'm starting to lose hope. And now you must know, as much as my husband would have not said to me, Omowopa, in my head, his every action, I would say it because I cannot give you children, And this one time at church, I was holding someone's baby, and this woman said to me, you must make your
own babies.
And I had my own line that I used as a defense mechanism. I would always say, no, I'm a career woman, guys. You can see my body, but deep down I knew more than anything.
It hurt you that you couldn't conceive.
I want to have a child. Went to the 7th guy, and then they said the option is you can do IVF. However, IVF it's 64,000.
It's expensive.
Upfront, no guarantees. And sure, I was the only one working at that time. Financially, we were not doing so well, and I'm thinking there's no guarantee. What is the point of even trying this? But there was that little fight left inside of me, like I can still, try and do this. And fortunately, I was referred to a doctor in Pretoria that they do IVFs, but only for families, because they try and do it a little cheaper. When I got there, I went with all my files, my history, all the operations that I've done, and all the medical report basically. And then she said, okay, it's fine, but I need to do my own test as well. And when she checked she said, okay, we can see your tubes vele are blocked. Are useless. There's nothing that you can do with them. However, there's this one tube that is leaking some liquid. So even if you do IVF, it's going to kill the seed. So we need to do a process, it's called isho. So they take 2 strings, I think they are this big, then they need to tie both tubes for that liquid to permanently
not dispose of the liquid, yeah.
And when they do that, they don't put you on any medication because it's a quick process. However, when I was sitting on that bed, they said to me, as you have a problem, there's something growing in your womb. And because we're already here, we need to cut. There's no way that you're going to say you need to go to theater and wait. When you're feeling that someone cutting you, I think I only felt the first
What was
cut.
the thing in your womb? Was it fibroids?
Yeah, it was some, they said that they showed me it was some small reddish.
It's fibroids.
Fine, that went well. Now financially, emotionally, I'm drained because I think my medication costed more than 50,000, the medication. I had to inject myself 2 times a day. One injection is 470. And this was the first time was for 2 weeks. So you can...
For the completion of everything they've done to you. This is after they done.
Yes, after now they have closed. Now they're trying to help me now fall pregnant. Hey, I'm in the process. I don't have money. I'm borrowing money. I'm desperate. And Ivy keeps saying wait, and in my head, in my mind, I'm saying, can I just get something right in my life?
What is your husband saying in all of this?
He's a very reserved person. So we separated now. That's another story. But during that time, he has never, been or called me names to say, yeah, you can't have children, you can't whatever.
He was very supportive?
He was supportive.
But he also showed with his actions that, I want kids.
Yeah.
And you can't give me children.
But no, he was never, maybe in his head, but
not pressure.
You were the one thinking.
So I was the one feeling, maybe
the pressure.
Maybe he's just pretending, maybe, because now myself, I'm already judging myself and I'm feeling less of a woman, and we did the IVF. They removed the eggs and then the sperm, mixed them together.
Okay, wait, it's a very intense process. Did you ever conceive after all of this?
So after isho, you can't, it's irreversible. So I'm permanently, what do you call it? Barren. So if I need another baby, I need to do the whole process all over again.
Jesus Christ. Please, for just our viewers, you've gone through so much. Please sum it up in your own words. What is it that you've gone through and how have you been able to conquer? How are you sitting here after being through so much? I could never imagine my daughter going what you're going through, let alone myself. I don't picture any young girl that deserves to live the way you've lived your life. And I'm sure, this is the first 10 pages of your book. Because I feel like people who go through things like this, Sophie, they usually still have a long journey ahead, Yes, I've been. There are people who haven't even started walking in like a slight chapter in your book. And I just want you to sum it up. Because I'm wondering, in all of this, it's so painful. No one deserves to live like this or to be raised like this with both parents, present and alive. How does somebody like you get through this? Where did you get the strength?
What
in the beginning,
what encouraged you?
in the beginning, she mentioned the church element. But how are you sitting here today, having gone through everything that you've been through?
And did you finally have that baby?
I had a baby, other complications. She was born 5 months, almost fell in the toilet twice.
Premature.
And she did a heart surgery when she turned 1. But she's a fighter.
And she speaks.
She's alive.
Speaks, and I was told to abort her because she's disabled, but I refused.
So she's fine now. She's a functioning child.
She's functioning.
How old is she now?
She's turning 4.
Wow.
Sure.
Miracle baby.
That's a miracle baby. You fought for her, hey?
No, I did.
Yeah, so just sum it up for us, man. Like, Naomi Mulema. Naomi Mulema, the fighter, the courageous woman that we're celebrating this month.
That's her other name, by the way. I'm sure people can wonder why give me that Tseho. It's her other name. I like Tseho more.
I see.
Just share with our viewers, how are you able to still sit and wake up every day and take it and fight it and throw it in the bin?
It's like, it's tense for me inside. So I'm holding myself to say, this kind of story needs comfort, it needs healing. How, like Gugu says, you're here, you're smiling,
and
you're beautiful. How did you get here?
I think it takes God. I think when I found God, I found me, I found my purpose. And I said, Lord, teach me, and give me the power and the strength to know the things that I can change and the things that I cannot change, and teach me the difference. And I've always said, you need to learn to dance in the rain. It will not rain forever. Eventually the rainbow will appear. So that's how I live my life, that it will rain now.
And a message to these parents that are present but not present, as you mentioned in your story. What advice do you have for them as a parent now?
Sometimes you must never say, my child looks okay. Behind those smiles. And sometimes we're scared to approach our parents because we're thinking, she's gonna now start judging me, especially when they're thinking you're a good girl. Good girl or good boys or good children, they commit suicide because they know that a lot is expected from them. Now, if they make a mistake, they keep it to themselves. So if parents can try and put themselves in their children's feet, because they've been children before, they know what happens and understand that.
And know the needs of a child.
And yeah, that's basically me. I'm fine, I'm still fighting, even though I'm functioning with one lung. I was telling Sophie earlier on that my right lung is not functioning at all. Another story, I survived TB, cancer, but I'm still here and I'm still standing.
And you're still fighting a good fight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure, viewers, today is indeed very intense.
Very, very intense. And look at this amazing woman sitting next to us who continues to be a fighter, continues to believe in healing, who continues to believe in her story to say, I've got a better tomorrow and I'm going to continue to fight. How many of us have that strength? Healing. And, like she says, Uguti, learn to dance in the rain. Are you able to dance in your rain? Are you able to understand, Uguti, tomorrow the rainbow is going to come out? And are you able to understand, Uguti, tonight is dark, but the morning comes, and that's when you rejoice in your healing. Find your healing. And we thank people like yourselves who come and share their stories to encourage us, to remind us, Uguti, we can survive. We can survive if we believe and love ourselves enough to fight and to survive.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so
for
much
sharing your story. We know there's much more stories. I'm sure you'll come back and share the rest because, a person's journey is like a book. And we've only gone through a few chapters, and we're hoping to share, for you to share the rest of your chapters in the near future with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That was Healing with Sophie and Gugu, and thank you very much for tuning in.